Greetings and welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I am your host, Mike Dawson, joined once again by fellow host Johnny Paulus.
Guess
Johnny,
you're
looking on the up and up over there.
Yeah, man.
How's it going?
Good. I got the Rona. I finally got the Rona. My wife has a date counter on her phone that says how many days we've been in this pandemic. And I tested positive on day 900. So I had made it 900 days through the pandemic, working full time, gigging, the whole deal. 900 days until I got the Rona. Thankfully, the vaccine did its job. My symptoms were really not much worse than a really, really bad cold. I tried the quarantine thing. So while you were recording the podcast, I was locked in my oldest's bedroom with nothing but an iPad, a Nintendo Switch, a big bottle of Mucinex, and a rotation of sodas and big, huge cups of ice water. And that was my life for 4 days.
That part of it sounds more painful than my experience, even though like I was much sicker than you were.
Yeah.
But I have this big, beautiful floor of the house with its own bathroom.
Yeah, no, I wish I'd had a fully functional man cave. I had an iPad and a Switch. That was it. Well, and my phone, obviously. But, yeah, thankfully...
The man cave makes it easy.
Thankfully, I decided to bite into a very meaty game on the Nintendo Switch, which I'll talk about. And that took up all of my time, including even after my quarantine. And I binge-watched The Orville from episode 1 to current. I am completely caught up and watched every episode of that show.
I don't even know what that show is, but that's not probably all that surprising.
Well, I'd actually like to give it a little shout out. So The Orville is Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy. It's his Star Trek show, and it's very much, I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes and was like, this isn't for me. And that was like years ago. But people kept raving about it and raving about it and raving about it. And then I remember I made a Facebook post about that more recent Star Trek show that I really enjoyed. And like 2 or 3 separate people were like, The Orville is better. Seriously, you've got to watch it. The Orville is better. The Orville's better. So I got back into it, hopped back in, like, I don't know, it was season 1, episode 4 or something like that. And I got totally sucked in. And the show is really well thought out. And
what is the show about? Because I'm probably not the only person listening that has no idea.
It is literally Star Trek. It is Star Trek, but it's not the Starship Enterprise. It's not called the Federation. It is Star Trek. They are on a ship exploring, new lands and new civilizations, and it is a very episodic, like this episode, we meet a new race that does this, and this is their culture, and this is their beliefs, and how do we get around that? So,
does it have, like, gratuitous gore or anything like that?
No, it doesn't have any gratuitous gore. So the big turnoff for me, I enjoy some Seth MacFarlane stuff, but for me, he can be a little too joke a minute. There's never really, like, especially in his movies that I've watched, there's never like a chance to like be absorbed into the scene because it's like winking at the camera every 12 seconds. It's constant joke, constant joke, constant joke. And that's what I was afraid the Orville was going to be. And it's actually not. And now that they're like all the way into season 3, he's completely pulled back the facade. And like, it's not a comedy. It's a full-blown, pretty deep sci-fi show. There are definitely moments where you're like, oh, okay, here's a Seth MacFarlane gag. This is going to be funny. Okay, cool. But like, it's not too much. It's not overdone. And I actually really, really like this show. It is the best Star Trek show I've watched since Next Generation.
So this past week, I didn't have COVID. We did have Dustin come in and sub for you on the show, which he did a fine job. Thank you,
Shout out
Dustin.
to Dude. Yes, he did.
This past week has been mostly been me preparing to be gone for the next 2 weeks. But I'll be home enough on the weekends that it won't impede our progress here. But between now and the next time I'm on this microphone, I'll have toured the entire state of Virginia. And then between that time and the time thereafter, I'll have left the country, gone to Belgium, and come back. So have a pretty full plate for the next couple of weeks.
Sounds like
which I guess means I'm catching up on my Switch backlog. So Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is episode 83 of the Power Gamer podcast. As we always do, we're going to start this week by first talking about what we've been playing. So I've got a fairly short list here, so I'll bang it out real quick.
Do it up.
I've continued playing the most accessible game of 2022 in F1 Manager 22. That is, of course, a joke because it's Spreadsheet Simulator 5000, basically. And I love it. But enough on that. I've talked about F1 Manager 22 enough in the previous two episodes. All you need to know is if you are a F1 super fan, this is a damn well near perfect game. And if you aren't an F1 super fan, you should stay the fuck away from it. I've been on a bit of a blast from the past lately with Rock Band. I have fallen in love with playing drums on Rock Band and have quite frequently broken out my little drum set now that I have a fully functioning kit. And I'm playing that on an Xbox 360 on an old-ass Sony Trinitron 4x3 aspect ratio TV. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Back in the day, I always got schlepped to guitar duties because I'm pretty okay at Guitar Hero and Rock Band guitar.
I'm so bad at those games.
They always just clicked for me. I guess pun intended, because they're very clicky control interfaces. But playing on hard is no problem, and expert's kind of where I fall apart because I'm not one of those kids that just literally sits and memorizes the Guitar Hero part. I've got real instruments that require that level of dedication.
Yeah, and I've always found that really strange. The guys that sit and practice those like expert level, and I watch the playback of people doing it, and I'm like, the amount of time that you put into practicing this song, you literally could have just learned how to play actual guitar. Like, I like the pick it up. You could, I like that with Guitar Hero, you can kind of hand it to anybody and they can sort of hang. And I think that's for me is the appeal, especially like the party game aspect of having some people over, a few drinks, doing your thing. But yeah, the expert level thing, it's like just play real guitar. If you're going to spend hours a day practicing a song, just practice a real song.
Yeah, and nothing from the game translates to a real instrument.
Nope.
0%. However, and I think this might be what my attraction is to the drums on the game, is motor skill wise, I think it's teaching me things that I could take to an actual drum set. And for that, I think it's pretty cool because you have to make all the exact same motor movements in order to play the drum controller. So
yeah, you are kind of basically playing drums.
Playing Nirvana, getting to do the is one of my favorite things now of all time. I really just want to get on a real drum set and play that.
Hell yeah!
So. Rock Band. I beat the Quarry. The Quarry has finally been completed. Had a few days to digest on the Quarry. I'm still mad at this game. However, I came off really hot on this because this game fucked me so hard. Pretty close to the end of the game. And I don't want that to spoil the other 98% of it, we'll say.
Yeah.
Because that's not really fair, and I did find a workaround for my problem. Allow me to elaborate.
Please do.
The Quarry is pretty wonderful. It's the closest in terms of quality that Supermassive has given us since Until Dawn. It's got a great story to it. It's real campy. It's real cheesy. It's basically exactly what you would want from one of these kinds of games. And I guess I can't say too much about it because in similar vein to Until Dawn, it almost follows like, if Until Dawn's a formula, it follows like that same formula of there's some shit scaring you, then it turns out there's some bigger thing, and then it turns out there's some even bigger thing.
Yeah.
And you got to lead the party through it. So really fun, well done. Graphics are great, sounds great. Game honestly ran like a dream. I don't think we ever had a single crash or blip or anything. So
Okay.
one of the problems I ran into in the game, though, and like there was a similar problem in Until Dawn. We speak about the prior game. There was a lot of moments where like you had to hold the controller perfectly still. There's a great life hack for that. You just take your controller and set it on a table when you get to those spots, and you clear them. But if you actually try to do it the right way, I swear to God, you could be holding yourself dead still, and the thing be flying around the fucking screen.
Yeah.
And you'd have somebody die because of that, and it was kind of shitty. So that exact problem has reiterated itself in the Quarry, except this time, instead of a holding a something still game, it's something as basic as taking a gun, pointing at something, and shooting. Traditional aiming controls with a controller, you know, your right stick's really going to dictate most of that. And I swear to God, like there's only really what I think in my playthrough. This could be different based on decisions you make. But there's only like 3 times in the whole game where I actually felt like I needed to use the gun. And they're super far apart. And the 3rd time was a time where it set me up and you actually needed to do some aiming. And it doesn't warn you that the sensitivity on this gun and moving the camera is somebody threw the switch to 10 on sensitivity and they broke off the lever.
Oh my God.
And so I'm in this life or death situation where I have like 2 seconds to react. And my brain that's been playing shooter games forever goes, oh, okay, point the thing at the thing and shoot. Great. And so I move the stick and like my character like almost does a fucking 180 and I just get chomped by the deadly thing and I'm dead. And I'm like at the final chapter of the game. I'm like, what the fuck? And it was like one of the characters I really liked and didn't want dead. So it's not like it was somebody I was actively trying to kill.
Right.
And yeah, so that kind of, at the time that happened, and then the game ending so shortly thereafter, I basically had said, fuck this game. But that's a little harsh. And a playthrough of this game can be done in about 5 hours. So like if I really wanted to go back through it, it doesn't take that long. There's also in the menu, in the accessibility options, a way to turn on auto aim. I would strongly recommend you turn on auto aim rather than roll the dice on the wonky aiming feel in this game. If and when you play it. So games completed, had a bit of a bad experience. You know, it's even if it wasn't for that, this game's not a masterpiece to begin with, right? So where does it fall on the Mike Dawson gut score? I forget where we were at with Until Dawn. It was like probably high 7s, right?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, if I've got to get this one a gut score, I'm going to give it a 7.0 flat.
Okay.
7.0 flat. And if I count for having the bad feeling of the controller wonkiness, I'd say that knocks it down to about a 6.8.
Okay.
But if I'm prepared for it and I can avoid that,
yeah,
I think on its best day, this game is a dead even 7. So.
Well, it's funny. Your experience with the Quarry was very similar to my experience with Until Dawn. I was having a ball with it. I was having no issues with the hold the controller still. And then probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the end of the game, I lost one of my favorite characters, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, I did not move. I did not move. I didn't move a muscle. I didn't twitch. Nothing. And the character died, and there was nothing I could do about it. And it did sour my experience with that game.
What's brutal is at the end of Until Dawn, it has like 5 of those checks in a row to
There's
get
a bunch
out
of
the game.
Yep.
All in one scene, and it's one after another, after another, after another. Because the fucking Wendigos detect movement. So like you have to move a little, then stop, then move a little, then stop. And that scene will fuck you. And it will destroy your entire playthrough. But the nice thing with Until Dawn is it checkpointed. So if you really had a problem with it, you could just reload and try it again. You can't do that in the Quarry.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
So when the Quarry fucks you, you're fucked, and that's it. There's no going back and saving that. Maybe there is and I don't even know. Is the game out on PC? I'm such a console fanboy.
I think so.
I'm sure PC players have a workaround for this because, save scumming and whatever, but at least on console.
It's on Steam.
Option. Okay, so there you go. You might have a workaround for that if that comes up. Final game I've been playing this week is the highly anticipated. And again, this is getting kind of old when it comes to Last of Us related stuff, but somewhat controversial. Here we fucking go again. The Last of Us Part 1. And I say all that because, of course, when Last of Us Part 2 came out, there's a bunch of controversy around the game, and it was just fucking annoying. But here we are. It's 2022. And we now have a proper next-gen version of a game that many would call the greatest video game of all time.
It's up there.
And it's, as advertised, it is a complete remake of The Last of Us. But unfortunately, this is one of those games that's impossible to bring up and just talk about how good the game is. Because people, I guess, when they hear Last of Us, when they hear Naughty Dog, that's not what they want to talk about. They want to talk about, oh, is this a money grab? Oh, is this really necessary? And all these other things. So I guess first, and Johnny, you know where I stand on this, but you don't need to dance around me here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this game? Is it a necessary release? Do you think it's a money grab, or is this something that we need to have?
I don't think it's something that we need to have, only because they've already remastered it once. I know it wasn't a full remake, but I mean, when I bought my PS4, it came with the remastered Last of Us. So where I stand is I'm kind of on that line. Because I know exactly what you're saying. I feel like half of the gaming community is like, this is bullshit. Middle fingers up in the air. How dare you? This is a money grab. And then the other half is just like, it's one of the greatest games ever made. Why would you not want to play a better version of it, right? I'm kind of on that line where I want it, I'm going to own it, but I'm not going to spend $70 on it. I've already bought the game twice. I'm not spending $70 on The Last of Us Remastered because I know within 12 months, maybe a little bit longer, it will probably be on PlayStation Plus. If it's not, I'll probably be able to scoop it up used on eBay or somewhere else for $25 or $30, and at that price point, you can have my money. But I do agree that $70, I think, is a steep price tag for a game that's already been remastered once and is not a... It's not like they added a bunch of features. It's not like they bundled 1 and 2 together. It's not like they, like, hey, we got a new multiplayer mode that comes with it. Like, no, it is just The Last of Us completely remade. And you know, the reason why I'm on the bar both ways is I've seen the footage of this game, and it looks absolutely incredible. And I will say 100% with my chest, if you have a PlayStation 5 and you have never played The Last of Us, go buy this game for $70. Do it. Do it now. Like, pause the podcast, go get it. Because this is one of the greatest games ever made. I literally bought my Last of Us 2 I don't know, a year or two ago, and I've bought Last of Us Part 1 twice now. So I'm on the bar of I'm going to wait till it's on sale. Am I mad at Naughty Dog for doing it? No. But I do think there's a lot of us that feel like we've already bought it twice. I shouldn't have to buy it a third time.
So here's my outlook on this. I'm real tired of people saying, you know, and Johnny, I'm not knocking you because there's an ocean of people I'm speaking to.
Yeah.
I'm real tired of the I bought this game twice thing. And I think people's memory of time is all fucked up. Because people act like this, you know, wasn't a long time coming. The Last of Us originally released in 2013 in June. I think it was on my birthday. It was right at the end of the PS3's life cycle. So 2013, it was a PS3 release.
Yeah.
Okay, what year did the PS3 come out? 2006, 2005. It was the waning months of the PS3's life cycle.
Yeah.
13 months later, with the PS4 in its infancy,
right,
they released The Last of Us on PS4. So people who bought PS4s that didn't own PS3s could play The Last of Us. It's not much of a remake or a remaster. It's a slight upscale. It doesn't really look that different at all from the PS3 version.
I don't disagree.
But the PS4 is not backwards compatible, so it was a necessary piece of software. You have one of the greatest games of all time that's locked on the most uncompatible piece of hardware of all time, the PS3.
Yeah.
Well, of course they're going to re-release it for the PS4. And, you know, if at that time you said, hey, I want to see this with slightly better graphics, and you bought it, or you bought the PS4 bundle with The Last of Us, great. It's a good game that you should play more than once. But it coming out at the end of the PS3's life cycle meant if you were going to play it a second time and you bought a PS4, well, you would probably say, well, this game fucking rocks. Let me just grab it for my PS4 and see it with slightly better graphics.
Right.
It wasn't really it absolutely wasn't a remake. And the use of the word remaster gets blown out of proportion. It was it's the same fucking game, just off the cell engine.
Yep.
That's all it is. So I get really tired of the whole narrative. Because it's not really an argument. It's just people like hating on something they don't like and trying to keep it down. And it seems to correspond with people that had a problem with Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
And so this whole like straw man argument of, well, it's already got remastered once. No, it fucking didn't. It came out 13 months later on the new piece of hardware.
Yeah.
It's been 8 years.
Fair point.
So The Last of Us, the original game, came out at the beginning of the PS4, in the last months of the PS3. It's been almost a fucking decade, and the game looks like shit. Because it's it's a PS3 game.
Yeah.
So it looks like complete ass. If you go back and play the original version of that game here in 2022, after living through a generation where you played through games like Red Dead Redemption 2, this game looks like fucking trash. So when I hear people put out these arguments and like this narrative of it didn't need this, it's often that we don't remember things for what they actually are.
Right.
I think Red Dead Redemption is one of the best paradigm shifts people have. Because after they play Red Dead Redemption 2, they remember the first game looking like it. But then if they actually put it in on a PS3 or an Xbox 360 and look at it, they're going to go, oh,
yeah,
oh, what the fuck? Because it looks dated as fuck.
Yes,
Dead Space is getting a remake right now.
Yep.
is anyone arguing that it needs it? And I mean, that game looks way the fuck better than The Last of Us does in its previous, 2 generations old hardware.
Yeah.
So, and it had the benefit of having a PC release as well, which basically kept it fresh. So, I want to come out and say, and I know I'm the biggest Last of Us fan, and, Mike's just being a fanboy of The Last of Us. But my point is for those making those trite arguments, hopefully me just laying out dates and things and reminding the general mass that it's been 8 years, and the last thing we got wasn't this.
Well, and although I said I'm not going to spend $70 on it, I've already purchased it twice. I do want to make clear that I'm not a vocal opponent of this game whatsoever, and there are way too many people online that are just, like you said, they're just being controversial to be controversial, and hating to hate. I'm going to own this game. I'm just not spending $70 on it. Like I really want it. I just don't want to spend $70.
The only argument I've heard against this game and its price, if we're going to speak about its price tag, because $70 is the new $60, and I think people just need to get over that. You know, let's just say paying full price for a game, because that's all 70 is anymore. It's just you're paying day one release price.
I mean, I bought Streets of Rage 3 on Sega Genesis for $75.
Yeah, we would only have to get into how much video games used to cost versus inflation and all that. That's a conversation lost on many. But I do get that people say things like, well, the original Last of Us also had this really deep factions mode. That's a valid point. This game shipped without that and costs $70. So that's the one argument that I tend to agree with is, okay, it's not as much, but it costs, and we have to say it costs the same, because that's just full price now.
That's fair.
The price changed.
Yep.
And that's cool. My only counter to that is this game isn't the up texture and the up res that we had from PS3 to PS4. This thing is completely a remake.
Yep.
And it looks insane. I've been playing it for the past few nights, and I've never seen anything like this.
I mean, for me, the biggest thing is just playtime. For me, spending $70 on a game that I've already beaten multiple times, and I'm going to sit down and enjoy it for a week, and then probably not touch it for another 5-6 years. That's not worth $70 to me, because I've already had this gaming experience several times.
What's the last? That's just for clarification to everyone. What is the last game that you spent $70 on? What game is worth that money to you?
I mean, I spent $70 on Ratchet and Clank. I spent $70 on Returnal. I spent $70 on.
I mean, that's, and I get it. That's when you first bought the PS5 console.
Yeah.
And like, you kind of have to get some games when you first buy a console.
Yeah.
But other than those release titles, which there's been many an epic bangers since then, what is a game that you've spent $70 on?
Not many.
Johnny, I think my point is, I just don't think you spend $70 on video games. To be fair.
I will spend $70 on God of War Ragnarok. I will spend whatever, $60 on Midnight Suns. For me, it depends on the game. And if it's a game that I've already played multiple times, doesn't have a lot of replay value for me personally. You know, again, Last of Us Remake, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it for a week really hard. I'm going to love every fucking second of it because the game is a masterpiece. But then I'm never going to touch it again. That's not worth $70 to me.
I got it.
That's
now,
all.
The flip-flop and kind of the reason why I was asking that question is I am somebody who constantly buys things day one.
Yeah.
Regardless of, I don't really care if a game's going to last me 100 hours or if it's going to last me 10. I want it day one, sort of thing. And so yeah, with a game like this, The Last of Us Part 1, I definitely want to signal to Naughty Dog that, like, yes, this was needed, this was wanted, and no doubt more people don't buy games on day one than people who do, because most people go, well, my back catalog is spiraling out of control. Yep. I don't really need to spend the full price on this. And sure, I'm fine waiting 6 to 12 months to get this on sale or as part of whatever subscription model. And I get that. That's fine.
Well, and I've discovered within the last couple years that these rosters of games circulate so fast. The perfect example is Tiny Tina. Tiny Tina came out and I said, this looks fun. I want to play it. I don't want to spend $60 on it. I spent $60 on Borderlands 3 and I played it for, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours and have not touched it since. It might happen with Tiny Tina. Don't want to buy it for $60. About a month and a half, maybe 2 months later, I got it for like $30-something.
Yeah, I got mine for, and on console, on PS5, I got mine for $40.
Yeah. And that's, so like, I don't know, for me, I feel like people are wising up that, again, God of War Ragnarok, day one, I'm there, I'm in line, I'm buying it. If it were $80, I'd buy it day one. I don't give a fuck, because I cannot wait to play that game. But I'm not like that with a lot of games. There's a lot of games that I want to play, but exactly like what you said, I have a very big backlog. I can wait. I can wait a few months.
And you're also a PC guy. And being a PC guy is very different from being a console first guy.
Very true. Very true.
Because PC, even day one, if you go to like Instant Gaming, please sponsor our podcast, Instant Gaming. You can go to their website and get stupid discounts on release day.
Yep.
And PC releases generally seem to not be 70 when they're digital. Does that sound right? I don't really know.
They're all 60 right now. Every new release that I've seen on PC is $60.
Got it. So yeah, it's definitely more of a plate of the console player. So I feel like I'm going to sneeze all over the place.
Don't do it.
Okay. So my head doesn't explode trying to hold the sneeze. Johnny, what have you been playing this week?
All right. So like I said, when I locked myself in the COVID room of my 11-year-old's bedroom, I binge-watched The Orville, and I played Paper Mario the Origami King from the very beginning of the game all the way to credits. This game's a bit of a monster. It's more difficult than I was expecting it to be, and it's longer than I was expecting it to be. And I'm going to recommend this game. If you like... It feels like more of a puzzle game than I was expecting, because my memory of Paper Mario is pretty much, like turn-based JRPG style. Like, I want Mario to do this attack on that guy, and I want Luigi to do this attack on that guy. And then, okay, cool, that happens, and then they attack, and then you do... And that's what I thought Paper Mario was. But in Paper Mario the Origami King, the battlefield is always a bunch of concentric rings. And you have to line up the enemies for, like, your jump is a straight line. So you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Your hammer is a block of 4. So if they're 2 in front of you, and they're side by side, you can hit them with your hammer. So you have to take these rings, and you go, I'm going to take this and twist it here, and then I'm going to take this bar and slide it, so these guys go to that side, those guys go to that side. It's a puzzle game. It's a full-blown puzzle game. And then the boss fights, they flip it on its head, where instead of Mario being in the center circle that doesn't move, it's the boss that's in the center circle. Mario is on the outside, and now you have to travel through those rings by using these little arrows. And those fights were tough. But I got through it, and I really enjoyed it. It's a very charming game. I enjoyed my time with it. And again, it was a lot meatier than I was expecting. And this is one of the very few official Nintendo titles on Switch that you can scoop for pretty cheap now. I've seen it as low as like $30-$40 all over the place. You could probably scoop it for mid-20s on eBay. Strong recommend if you like puzzle games. And I mean, I'm talking, this thing was probably 20, 25, 30 hours.
Yeah.
It's a long game. But I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. So I rolled credits on that.
The combat system in that game is so good.
It's great.
And I mean, all of the it still has elements, because Paper Mario was the evolution of Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars.
100%.
Next one came out on N64 and played more like that first SNES game. But as that series has progressed, yeah, it's turned into having this really cool, like, it almost looks like a roulette wheel with multiple layers that you have to line up to get. So it's just, yeah, like you were saying, it's a puzzle where you have to lock up the enemies in a line and then fuck them up. And it's really fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
But it still has those same... The best thing about Super Mario RPG is it had this active mechanic in it where, you know, when Mario would bop somebody on the head with a hammer, or any attack in the game, really, that moment of where it clicks on the enemy, if you clicked a button at the same time, you would do 2 attacks. And then the same was vice versa. When you'd get attacked, the moment the click would happen of the attack hitting you, if you hit B, it'd block, and like all of that's still there. And that's just one of the to steal a word from Triple Click, one of the gooeyest, best feelings in all of video gaming. I just wish every RPG on the planet had that.
Well, and you know, like, the only main gripe I had with this game is the length of it did drag a little bit. And I think the biggest problem with that is that I think you spent too much time in a few of the zones. There were a few different zones in the game where it's like, okay, great, now go do this. And you're like, oh, fuck, that's like 5 steps to go do that. Okay, let's go do that. Okay, great, we've discovered the temple. Let's go into the temple. And you go into the temple, and there's more puzzles and more things to fight. And then you're done that, and like, great, now we got to do these. And you're like, that's another 5-step fucking thing I got to do. All right, let's go do that. And there were a few zones that by the time I got to the end of that zone, I was like, thank God, like, let's move on. I feel like we're like stagnant. So it dragged a little bit in the middle. It started really strong and ended really strong. A few zones in the middle were a little too long. But other than that, I thought the game was great. Next, I beat Cult of the Lamb, and I had significantly more trouble with the last boss than Mike did. Apparently, Mike one-shot the final boss.
Correct.
I one-shot the boss before. I think Shimura was his name. I one-shot him, no problem. But the final boss gave me some trouble. I think I was just... It was a late-night stream. I think I was a little tilted. And after I'd failed a couple times, I started getting a little pissed off. And when I don't play great when I'm pissed off. So I basically said, I'm going to move on and play something else. We'll try this again tomorrow. I'll probably one-shot it tomorrow. And that's exactly what happened. The next stream, I fired it up. I opened Cult of the Lamb. Normally when I'm streaming, shout out to my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/hellhero, H3LLH3RO. Normally when I'm streaming, I do like a 5-minute sort of stinger beforehand. Sometimes I'll put up a timer. I'll play a little bit of music. This is me making myself a drink, checking my lights, making sure everything's working and operational and all that for the stream. I didn't do any of that shit. I fired up the stream with my face on, was like, I'm ready to go. Let's beat Cult of the Lamb right now. And that's exactly what happened. I one-shot it. It's another game that overstayed its welcome a little bit. I did really enjoy it. I'm actually excited to see what they're going to do with this game now. Because a lot of these indie sort of roguelike-y kind of games, they'll keep adding more free content. And I think this is a game that they could very easily go, hey, there's a new wing, here's some new follower types, here's some new building types, here's a free DLC that we've released, you know, please hop back in and enjoy some more of the game. And they might be able to get me to pop back in and play it. But, you know, it was a basic indie game. I don't think it's going to get any Game of the Years, in my opinion, but I did enjoy it. And if you like, you know, you watch a trailer of that game and were intrigued by it, you'll probably enjoy it.
Gut score. Gut. Make it up, dude.
7.5.
7.5? Yeah, I
7.5. Yeah, I mean, good, not great. I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. It's only $20-something, you know, but it's not Game of the Year, must play, you know, classic level.
You know what's cool about doing gut scores?
What's that?
They can change. because
That's
you
true.
might not remember it when we are faced with the question later.
Yeah.
I think I said 7-8 on that one.
I think you did.
I
That
think
sounds
is right.
about right. Yeah.
Cool.
But I did. I enjoyed it. And lastly, Plague Tale Innocence. This was a game that Mike strongly recommended a few months back.
Called it one of the best games ever made.
And I saw that it was leaving Game Pass in like a week. I think as you're hearing this podcast, I think it's off like Tuesday or Wednesday or something this week. So it's going away very soon. But yeah, this game's amazing. This is one of the best polished games I've ever seen from a smaller studio. It feels like a AAA title. I had a couple little buggy issues. I had a couple checkpoints that didn't want to cooperate, but nothing outside of the norm. And I loved the story. I loved the characters. I thought the voice acting was great. I thought the music was great. I thought the ambiance of the game was great. The best execution of this game was the pressure. This is one of those games similar to The Last of Us where you almost never can take a break. Like, everything you're doing in the game sucks. Every single level is like, oh, God, there's so many rats. How the fuck am I going to get through all this? Oh, my God, there's so many guards. How am I going to, like, there's never a mode where you get to kind of sit back and be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, no, you're edge of your seat the whole time.
Well, they do have those little chill breaks in the castle that are
there's a few spots, and yeah, there's a few spots there that you can
very good after all of that stress.
They did, yeah. The little bits of downtime you do get were very welcome because when you're playing the actual game, it's a lot of pressure. But you know, I have to give credit to this game is sort of old school in the way that it's very cinematic and it's almost on rails. There is very much a path that you are supposed to take. There's a direction that you're supposed to go, and there's the certain guards that you have to go through, and there's the certain guards that you can avoid, and how you get through that is a part of the game. But the game mechanically is very, very tight. You know, you have a few different things at your disposal. You basically just have a slingshot that you, throughout the game, start adding more features to. You can put fires out, which brings the rats in. You can set things on fire, which scares rats away. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. But it's a very old school cinematic-y sort of game where it's not open world. It's not go explore. No, it's chapter 5 is you have to get from this point to this point, and here are the things that are in your path. And it's very old school in that way, and I got to give them props because they pulled it off. The story is great. The characters are great. Strong recommend. I don't care that it's leaving Game Pass soon. Just buy it.
You can
the game's
buy
been
it
out
for
for
like
long enough.
$6 usually when it's on
Yeah,
sale.
I was going to say, I'm sure this is one of those games you can scoop for really, really cheap.
It's worth $30 all the time, which I think is full price.
Yeah, no, I agree. But kind of a short game. I'd say 15, 16 hours. Maybe a tiny bit longer than that, but not much. But I loved it. Fucking loved it. Gut score 8.5, 8.8.
Yeah,
maybe almost 9.
I have it at 8.8.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very strong title. And next, I started yesterday Far Cry 6, and I couldn't stop playing it today. So I am officially hooked on Far Cry 6. Now, I've mentioned before that I own all of the Far Crys and have not beaten any of them. I literally have Far Cry 1, 2, 3. I have Far Cry Primal. I have Far Cry New Dawn. I have them fucking all. I have never beaten one of them. My least favorite thing about the Far Cry games is no longer a factor, and I'm so fucking thankful for it. The thing that becomes the time suck for me in the other Far Cry games is I go, man, I need to be able to have more weapons. Oh, well, to have more weapons, you need to go hunt 2 cougar skins and 1 beaver tail and a fucking crocodile face, and then you can make your bigger pouch. And then that turns into like a fucking 4-hour adventure to go run around and find all these things just to make your pouch bigger.
Yeah,
there's none of that in this game, and I'm so fucking thankful. It is the number one time suck in the other Far Cry games that just kills me, is in order to improve that thing, you have to go kill 5 fucking animals. It's so frustrating. And I'm glad they got rid of that. This very much feels much more like I really can just explore and not waste my time on that shit. It's basically your upgrade stuff is all like scavenger parts, gunpowder and miscellaneous metals and shit like that. And it's stuff that you find everywhere. So I don't have to go to the bog where the crocodiles are. I don't have to go to the field where the zebras are grazing. I can just go fucking explore the world. And wherever I go, I'm going to find the materials that I need to improve the things that I have. And that's like the one main change that they made. And my God, is it welcome. I'm really, really enjoying this game, and I think it'll be the first Far Cry that I actually like play all the way through. Might make me actually go back and play the others because I am fucking loving it.
Play them in reverse order because 5 was very similar to this one.
Okay.
Even though 6 is by far superior.
Okay.
Dude, once you have helicopters at your disposal all the time, like you start unlocking some of the bases with helipads,
yeah,
it just becomes the most fun game of all time.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it.
And
I'm very early in.
The story's so good. Giancarlo Esposito fucking just knocks it out of the park. Every scene he's in is brilliant.
Yeah, he brings it. He brings it for sure. He always does. He always brings it. But no, I'm
such a smart
really...
casting.
Yeah. But no, I'm loving the game, and I look forward to raving about it for the next few weeks because I know it's pretty big.
And it streams incredibly well. Because I played through the whole game. I watched Dread Captain James play through the whole game. So, like, at this point, I am super familiar with it. And, yeah, it's... There's still an emote in his chat from it that's the little alligator that you have.
Guapo.
Yeah, oh, Guapo, dude.
Guapo.
That little guy is fucking nasty.
Guapo's awesome.
He just point and he just hauls ass off and just starts fucking shit up.
Yep.
He does not give a fuck.
No, Guapo don't care.
He doesn't care. Whole army, he's going in head first, man. This gator gives zero fucks, and he is 100% on your side. The companions of the game are one of my favorite parts because, like, you get all sorts of crazy shit. There's like a fighting chicken that you get.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm intrigued to unlock the others. I got the dog Chorizo, the dog with the wheels.
The cart. Who distracts enemies by being so cute.
Is that really what he does?
Yeah.
I haven't used it.
If you send him out, everybody goes, "Oh, look at the little sausage doggy," and he just plays good.
That's all he does. He just goes up and distracts.
Yeah, it's great.
That's amazing
because he's so cute. Good. So he just runs off and does his thing, and then you murder everyone that's going.
But no, I'm loving the game, and I've just been one tapping everyone with my FAL and a nice scope. I just bink, 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 bink. Cool, base is clear. Done deal. Let's move on.
Indeed. All right, so that wraps up what we've been playing this week, and what a fantastic way to spend most of this episode. So we're just going to run over something real quick. That's important, relating to one of our favorite game series. Well, one of my favorite game series. I think Johnny's officially on board after playing AC Valhalla.
Speaking of another series I need to go back and play all of, I've beaten the first, and I've beaten the last. That's it.
So, a lot of Assassin's Creed news out this week from the Ubisoft showcase. Most importantly, we finally learned what Assassin's Creed Infinity is. So, taking directly from IGN here. So, Infinity is somewhat of a launcher, not a game. But rather than displaying games as a library-like collection, like in Steam or Ubisoft Connect, Infinity will wear the guise of an in-universe Animus interface. New entries in the series will be displayed as DNA memories rather than games. You should expect Infinity to be more than just an Assassin's Creed-themed launcher, and for it to evolve over time. Infinity is not a game itself, but a place where players will explore and jump into future entries. And it will be beginning with the feudal Japan game, Assassin's Creed Codename Red. And then there's a second game, Assassin's Creed Codename Hexe, which seemed to have like a witchy...
Yeah, I think it's Salem Witch Trials era.
Kind of AC logo on it. So, Johnny, now that we know what Infinity is and we have 2 new game reveals, what are your thoughts?
Well, so the one thing that I kind of like with this is that I can't think of many game franchises that although they're very similar in a lot of ways, they're very dissimilar in other ways, right? Assassin's Creed 1 has nothing to do with Valhalla. The playstyle is completely different. The video game length is completely different. The combat is completely different. The quest style is completely... I mean, they are very drastically different games. But the other thing that they do on these Assassin's Creed games is they've done a lot of really small expansion titles that have done very well. Like, there's Rogue. I know there were a bunch of expansions for basically all of the Assassin's Creed games since, like, 3 has had a bunch of little DLC add-ons that have all done pretty well. So the thing that I like about this concept is that I get the impression that within Assassin's Creed Infinity, you're going to log in one day and they're going to go, oh, hey, we have a new free DLC for Code Red that is this. It's free. It's right here. It's already installed. Go play it. And then, 3 months later, you log back into Infinity and it's like, boom, here's the next big Assassin's Creed title. It's out, it's here. I want to see it in action. They still didn't really...
Well, they did disclose a little bit more, and
right.
The gamification of this is that none of the new releases, so Codename Red, Codename Hexe, whatever, are going to have any kind of the modern day story in them. It's just going to be the past memories. And anything that takes place in the modern day will take place within Infinity. So like all the Desmond and Layla stuff, you're not going to see that in the actual games anymore. You're only going to see that within Infinity.
Got it.
So for people that don't give a flying fuck about the whole modern aspect, which if I'm spoiling this for you, I'm fucking sorry, but like...
Right.
Assassin's Creed has been
a thing for a very long time.
Super fucking long time. You're some dude from the present in a machine interface reading memories from the past. So we need to get that out of the way to talk about this objectively. And there's a big story that takes place in present day. In the earlier games, it was Desmond. In the most recent trilogy of Origin, Odyssey, and Valhalla, it was Layla. And it's like this super big, complicated thing that's happening behind the scenes. And it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And I think some people get really put off by it because it's almost like trying to hop into like the MCU without watching everything else.
Took the words right out of my mouth. It'd be like going into the theater and watching Infinity War. You'd be like, I don't know who the fuck is who. I don't know what's
happening. It wouldn't
happening.
make any sense. And that's kind of like if you had just jumped into Valhalla and not played any of the others, as soon as they go to the future, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I was pretty lost in Valhalla in the present time.
It makes zero sense. So it is nice that they're going to have Infinity serve as the vehicle for all of that storytelling. That I'm very for. And I hope, like if I have to guess, I hope that what Infinity is... Actually, yeah, this is a great exercise. What do I want Infinity to be? I would like to be able to make my own character that lives in the present. I hope it's like the Abstergo or whatever office like thing or world, like almost like what they had in AC4. And I want to exist there as my avatar and have an animus that I can load these whole entire games from. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. And then a story that's happening from there that's present day. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea and wouldn't wear out its welcome. What I'm afraid it is that it's just an overly stated launcher. And if it's that, I don't think it'll stick around long. Johnny?
Well, I think you're right. I think there's a very interesting story thing that could happen here. Let's say, for example, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Mirage, and we figure out that, oh, wait, there's this relic from this era that has printed on it the words that we need to get into this this Assassin's Creed lair. Wait, maybe, do you think Ivor ever experienced that relic? We should go see. And then now there's this free DLC for Valhalla that I don't have to own Valhalla, but I can inhabit Ivor, and I can go on this little mini adventure. Maybe it's a 2-3 hour free DLC where I go and I find this relic and I get that piece, and then cool, now I can go back into Mirage with that information that I have. I mean, I don't know. I think you could do some really interesting things with it. But you're right. I just hope it doesn't turn into like, hey, it's the Assassin's Creed store. Do you want to spend $5 on this or $10 on that? This is free, but that's 40, and this is 20, and this is 5. Do you want to buy the season pass? I mean, I don't know. It could be really shitty. It might be kind of cool. I guess time will tell.
Time will tell indeed. And, anytime I hear stuff like this, it's like, well, I want to be excited for it. I do. But you're right. There's some things to be cautious about. Speaking of AC Mirage, there's this new game called Assassin's Creed Mirage coming out. And I like everything they're saying about this. That
Same.
It's a non-RPG, that it's a return to like the original game format. It looks a lot like a new version of the original game. You're playing as Basim, who was in Valhalla. It takes place in Baghdad. Looks really, really cool. The trailer told me absolutely nothing, and that's fine.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's a teaser. The first trailer is always a teaser.
All you got to say is, it's going to be like AC1, and I'm in. So,
same.
It looks pretty cool, and it should be out.
Well, and I liked that they said they don't all have to be 150-hour RPGs. We
would prefer that they're not.
Right. I mean, and I loved my time with Valhalla, and I'm still firing up Valhalla and playing through the 2 DLCs that I do own. I do want to play Dawn of Ragnarok, but I think $40 is a little steep for what I've seen.
Yeah, I'm
going to wait till rough. I'm going to scoop that one for 10, maybe. But I do want to play it, and I mean, I still really enjoy Valhalla. The more I think about this Infinity thing, I hope that they find a way to incorporate all of it. Like, if I can, get up and go to my Animus and be like, you know what? Let me continue my playthrough of Assassin's Creed 2. I think that'd be fucking cool.
Yeah. But it needs to be different from just having that same experience with your Steam launcher.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It needs to be something. So that wraps up basically all the Assassin's Creed news that we have. We're going to wrap this episode up talking about one of my favorite leakers, Jeff Grubb. Apparently there's a Nintendo Direct that's going to drop sometime this week, maybe on Tuesday. But here's some quotes from Jeff Grubb that were posted on Video Games Chronicle. So, we've heard that Zelda stuff will be there. The name of the next Zelda game and the HD ports of the Zelda games from the Wii U. I hope that's the case. It seems like it should be the case. That's what we've heard. Also, Metroid Prime HD remasters should be coming out this holiday. So we should get that as well. And there's stuff like Fire Emblem that has been rumored and seems like makes a lot of sense. I can't confirm. Yada, yada, yada. That's Jeff Grubb, who's basically everything this man says is true. I've learned. So hopefully all this is true as well. Johnny, any thoughts on the tidbits that we might be receiving at a Nintendo Direct, possibly on Tuesday?
I think Wind Waker falls pretty firmly into a game that doesn't need to be remastered again. But
it'll just be this as a port. So it's a port of the Wii U game, which is basically half of the Switch's library anyways.
Right. Yep.
It's just like,
true.
Why is it taking them so long to port Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD from the Wii U?
Yep. But no, I mean we've kind of heard rumors and whispers in the night that Prime remasters for Switch were coming. So I'm not surprised that this is a rumored announcement, but I will be very excited when they do officially announce it. And it would also be great if they just... Can we have a trailer for Prime 4, please?
Does it even exist? Who's working on it? Who knows?
It does. I mean, it does exist. They've announced that it's a thing.
I know. They just haven't shown shit.
Haven't showed us anything. Just give me a 30-second teaser of Samus running down a hallway, opening a door, and fighting whatever the new enemy is, and I'll be happy. Just show me the game, please.
We've at least had
Something.
crumbs of this new Zelda game. But
Yep.
the game known as Breath of the Wild 2, most anticipated game of 2020, most anticipated game of 2021, most anticipated game of 2022, and not coming out any of those 3 years.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, though? Nintendo don't fail, man. They release fire. That's all they do. So as much as it sucks to see this game get delayed, I mean, we know it's going to be fucking diesel fuel when it does come out.
Nintendo delays don't actually feel like delays because they don't give dates until they're sure.
That's very true.
They don't play games over there, even though they make them. And Johnny, I really don't have anything else to say there. I think that about wraps it up, which means, sir, it's time for us to go to the final segment of the show. And that segment is, of course, called
One Up.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's time for One Up. Johnny, get us started. What's your One Up this week?
Rings of Power. Oh my God, Lord of the Rings. Rings of Power. Oh my God, Lord of the Rings. Rings of Power. Okay, so it's not perfect. It's not perfect. I have one main gripe. The acting from 2 of the main protagonists doesn't really work for me yet. However, both of those characters are recasts. If you have to recast a new character that was played by Cate Blanchett and recast another character that was played by Hugo Weaving, you've got a tall hill to climb. And there was a few scenes with Elrond and Galadriel that I was not in love with. However, production value, music, vibe, setting, story, it feels like Lord of the Rings. It doesn't feel like a half-assed product. It doesn't feel like a regurgitation. It doesn't even feel like a cash grab, even though I know the fuck that it is. I'm just excited that we have new Lord of the Rings and that it doesn't suck. If you haven't watched this shit yet, please stop listening to the negative internet hype, okay? There is a percentage of people in this country that are mad that there are black elves and black dwarves and this is woke, and I'm sorry, there are not elves talking about the wage gap. There are not dwarves talking about pro-life or pro-choice. It's not woke anything. There just happens to be people of color in these roles. Get over it and watch what we're all lucky to have, which is more Lord of the Rings that holds up, in my opinion, to the original Peter Jackson trilogy. It's great stuff. I'm fucking in love. It's a little slower than I would like. Some of the acting's not working for me, but the rest of it is like 10 out of 10. Feels like Lord of the Rings. I'm very, very happy.
I haven't watched it, so I don't have anything to add other than I will at some point. I know I will watch
3 episodes in so far.
My One Up this week is the very thing that we started, our first topic when we started the show. Cyberpunk 2077. We finally got confirmation of a new expansion pack for the game called Phantom Liberty. And it looks fucking awesome. There's been a lot of goodness with Cyberpunk. There's an anime show dropping on Netflix.
Edgerunners,
that looks insane that I can't wait to watch. We have this new DLC coming out for the main game. The PS5 and Xbox Series X versions are loose and accessible. And then we bring to my actual one-up for Cyberpunk, and that is this big, awesome game guide. Look at this thing.
Damn.
This thing is legit, okay? Now, what's cool about it is where you can get it from. And that would be a little place called GameStop. Now, can we get this so you can actually see this? Probably not because of my big light.
Piggyback.com.
If you go to GameStop right now, they're having a big clearance sale.
Okay.
This says $6.97. And they give you 25% off of that. So if you notice that I have this beautiful blue purpley light in the background, they're also selling these like fucking LED bulbs with a remote that you can change the color on. Awesome. So I got this huge book that I can't wait to dig into because I am going to do another playthrough of Cyberpunk here soon.
Me too.
I got that and my cool light, right, for $8.
Wow.
So Cyberpunk, you can get this big, awesome game guide right now. They have stacks of them at like every GameStop. You can literally just buy them and sell them on eBay for like $20, $30 a copy.
Speaking of piggyback, I'm going to piggyback on that one up. Did you see that CD Projekt Red officially announced that the Witcher remaster for current
will be out
consoles
this year? Yes,
is coming out this year, baby. Full playthrough again.
I'm not going to do it, even though I'm so tempted to do it.
Oh, I'm going to do it.
No, I don't mean play it. I mean point out the massive irony of what year did The Witcher 3 come out?
They're not charging any money for it. This is not a fair comparison.
That is true.
This is literally, if you own Witcher 3,
free.
we're gifting you a massive fucking upgrade to the game for free.
It is free. But it hasn't been that long
completely free.
Came out.
And fair point. If they were saying, "Hey, here's the PlayStation 5 remaster and it's $70," I'd have a little hint of that. I would. But it's free DLC.
I'd say go for it, man. Fucking, I'd buy that shit again.
Nah, man, it's free.
But it is free.
I bought it on PS4 for $20, and I have it on PC, so I'll get an upgrade to both for nothing. So I can't be upset about that.
No, I don't think anyone's going to be upset with anything related to the Witcher 3. And they very well,
which I think is that's my number one game of all time. I think
of all time. Well, that's a conversation. That's a conversation that we'll have to have at a different time, because we are in fact out of time for this week. So, any closing?
It's good to be back.
Any closing thoughts other than spurning a massive debate on the greatest game of all time, Johnny? Before we leave for the week.
No. I'll see you guys next week. It's good to be back. Get your vaccinations because
there's a new one. I'm gonna try and get it before I go to Belgium. So,
yeah. Me too.
My closing thoughts is the best game of all time, of course, is Chrono Trigger. We don't need to have a discussion.
No. No.
That would be an interesting one. We've done many pick threes, but have we done pick three personal all-time greatest games? That's a doozy.
That is a doozy.
Maybe we'll do that on a slow news week. We'll see.
I would need a while.
Well,
to think
you
on
should
that,
figure it out because that question can come up at any time.
Okay, fair enough.
What's your top 5 of all time? You don't have to answer right now, but be prepared. It might come up.
Okay.
We will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode of the Power Gamer Podcast. Until then, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Pollard.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip-flop.
Ooh, yeah!